Today, I'm going to try to draw this riverside view in Borjomi, Georgia, and this will be my last day in, and therefore my last drawing from Borjomi. And as I've said in the previous two videos, this short time away from the city was exactly what I needed. I had a few days in Tbilisi that really didn't feel that good, specifically with respect to the drawings. And part of my problem was honestly just the hustle and bustle, the noise, the traffic. It all started to grate on me a little bit, and it was nice to escape for a minute. I'm still a big fan of Tbilisi. There's a lot to love about that place, but sometimes being in a small town or in nature or both, if I'm lucky, is the perfect way to, just reset. Now, having been away, ironically, I'm eager to get back to Tbilisi to see what I've overlooked and to find new things to draw, which is why time away can be so valuable. I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, so today I opted for something that kind of combines the previous two drawings and at first glance seems hard, but there's the unique architecture off to the right, in particular this domed pavilion, which is reminiscent of the mineral spring, and then the flowing stream and scattered stones on the bottom in the middle, and then the foliage, practically everywhere else. So while this was and is a daunting reference, I chose it in part because I felt like I'd built up to it. I'd gathered these disparate parts from the other drawings and brought them together into this one drawing in hopes of building out a single cohesive scene. And for the most part, I think I do okay. Architecturally, I take a few liberties, which I think I've finally deemed acceptable, mainly in terms of proportion, but also for some of the parts that I couldn't see very well from my vantage point. You can see that there are some trees directly in the center that block what's behind them. And then farther off, I couldn't exactly make out what was over there, so I used my imagination. Regarding the natural elements, I took a similar tack, taking more than a few liberties, and also I just tried to keep these areas slightly more vague, utilizing negative space for the sake of keeping the solid architectural aspects front and center, making sure to avoid losing any of those details in the inevitable mess that could have been all these trees. I just have a lot more work to do when it comes to trees and water and rocks and etc. So I didn't want to press my luck as the rest of the drawing was looking pretty good. So as you no doubt notice, the drawing portion of this video is sped up quite a bit more than usual, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, most obviously, it's long. It's longer than a lot of the rest. I really sat with this one. I think it took me like 25 minutes, and that's too long. However, the final video, the one you're watching, is still shorter than the rest, which leads me to reason two, which is I would like to test out a shorter video. My videos tend to be something like 10 to 15 minutes on average, and having spoken to a handful of friends who make it a point to sit and watch these, they're finding it difficult to keep up, which I'll also be remedying soon, and I'll talk about that in a few videos. And having seen the analytics, a lot of people just don't stick around through the entire thing, and I don't blame them. I really want these videos to be about my process of learning, but that doesn't mean I need to tell you every single time I struggle with the perspective. Instead, I think it would be a lot more valuable if I could make every video as singular and succinct as possible, meaning as little fluff as I can manage. I'd like to squeeze the essence out of each drawing, figure out what it was about that one that made me think or do X or Y, and deliver that. I think the videos already have that to some extent. However, having this requirement to speak through the length of the drawing, it kind of forces me to elaborate more than I'd like, sometimes unnecessarily so, which I would prefer to avoid. I'm also not interested in sharing these with like music in place of the commentary because I think a large chunk of the value is in what I have to relay to you with regard to my discoveries or my struggles, I guess. Because if you want to watch someone draw, there are only 20,000 other options, and mine is certainly not the best of them. So yeah, this video wouldn't be the best representation of what I'm talking about because a lot of this has gone into explaining it. But I think you get the gist. It would be nice to not have to mind how long I'm taking to do a drawing because I know in the back of my head that I can speed them up like this. And it would be great to not force myself to come up with 3 or 4 extra things to talk about when 1 or 2 would have been perfect. Awesome. So what really stands out to me about this drawing is how each individual part isn't necessarily all that great, but that the entirety of the scene is just on the paper. I can pick out 100 little problems, but it was clear that my mind was more focused on a broader scale than usual, so I'll accept all of those small mistakes for that. I still need to wrap my head around rendering these things out because it's not easy to differentiate one thing from another, but I'm getting there. And when I started this channel, it was stuff like this that I really wanted to capture, and I'm slowly making my way there. So let me know what you think in the comments. Take a second to subscribe to the channel, and if you like this one, go ahead and like it. Anyway, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.